Hello, creators. How are you guys? It's great to hang out with you again for another Video Creators Podcast episode. My name is Tim Schmoyer, and I am joined here by Mr. Jonathan Katz. He is a YouTube lawyer. Is that such a thing? Is that like a legal term now, Jonathan?
I think it's going to be one, Tim. There's more and more demand for it every day.
Yeah. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? And then, guys, we want to talk with you about some of the legal implications of running contests and giveaways and sweepstakes and all those types of things on your YouTube channel as you try to grow it using contests and stuff, and some things you should know about. A lot of people get this stuff wrong and can get into legal trouble because of it. And Jonathan and I are going to walk through that with you guys here today so you can avoid all that. So first of all, Jonathan, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Sure. I'm an attorney. I've been practicing law for, 8 years now, and I did TV, film, entertainment law, and now I represent YouTubers for a living. It's pretty cool stuff, but it's a very different sort of work, and there's always new questions, and you often send them to me, so I'm happy to hop on a line with you.
Yeah, he wrote down a few notes already before we started recording here. He's like, I know, that's a good one. It's a regular note of that. I'm like, you need to talk to me more often, Jonathan.
That's absolutely right. And also, I'm on the board of the directors of the Internet Creators Guild, and it's really interesting, all of the new questions that I get exposed to through there, because every YouTube creator is doing it a little differently and running into their own new problems, and it makes this work really exciting.
Yeah, awesome. Well, you're based in LA, right? So
No, New York, but all of my I do a lot of events and programs that I host in Los Angeles, and so I'm basically bi-coastal at this point.
Whenever I see you, it's LA, whether it's to be VidCon or you have your own event out in California as well.
Yeah, ClamorCon is becoming a bigger and bigger part of my daily life, and it's always exciting.
Yeah, cool. So for those of you guys who aren't familiar, YouTube has some policies about how you run a contest on their platform. And this was created many years ago. It's just basically something that they have some guidelines in place for if you are going to run a contest on your channel, like you're going to do a giveaway of something in exchange for people subscribing to your channel or commenting or sharing a video or sending you a video or whatever. If you're going to use YouTube in some way to run some sort of contest, they have some rules and guidelines you need to follow, and you can find these linked up in the show notes of this podcast episode, or if you're watching the video of this, it's in the description below this video. And what we're going to do is we're going to read through YouTube's contest policies and guidelines here, and Jonathan's just going to be kind of a quick idea of what this means and anything else you should consider or keep in mind for that point. And some of these, I think, are self-explanatory. We're going to go through them really quick, and some of them, that's why we have Jonathan here to make a little bit more sense to us common people. So first of all, they say that you just need to make sure everything you do is aligned with the privacy policy, the terms of service, and the community guidelines that YouTube sets forth. You should already be doing that anyway, or else your channel would have been taken down. So if you have a YouTube channel that's currently still in good standing, you may proceed from that point. So first one, Jonathan says, these are the general restrictions and requirements. It says that you are solely responsible for your contest.
Yeah. So, look, the reality is that, anybody hosting a contest, even in a newspaper or at a public event, you are, without thinking about it, by announcing a contest, you are in a public environment. You are interacting with Federal Trade Commission regulations on gaming and gambling and contests. You're interacting with local state laws and ordinance rules and the whole area of gaming, gambling, which includes a lot of lotteries and contests. That is, a regulated area, and that where you are, your locality or where you live may govern, what you can and can't do. And YouTube is basically saying that, this is a platform for user-generated content. If you're creating something on our platform, you have to be responsible for it, and you have to do the research and look at the various sources of information in order to, do this within the limits of the law.
Right. Which is also number 2 and number 3, kind of, your contests on YouTube must comply with all applicable federal, state, and local laws, rules, and regulations, including U.S. sanctions. And then number 3, your contest cannot infringe upon or encourage the infringement of any third-party rights or the participation in any unlawful activity.
And there's actually a lot to
not allowed to do.
There's a lot to parse there, because, first of all, the complying with applicable federal, state, and local laws, basically you could, it's wherever the contest is being run from, but if the contest winner is outside of the US, if they are, if there are different rules in their locality, you could be, getting yourself in trouble by running this national program, this national contest, international contest, and there may be all kinds of restrictions. I like that they drop in the part about U.S. sanctions, because there are certain countries that we don't do business with, and that, you can't have an event interacting with. So
do you disqualify those entries if they come from one of those places, or how?
Well, the thing you would have to do is have a set of, rules and guidelines for your contest of who can participate and who can't, based upon, how you, the local laws you're comfortable with complying with.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're going to jump into that, I think, here in a little bit, about the official rules and stuff. Yeah. So then they also say number 4 is you can't ask the user to give all rights for or transfer ownership of their entry to you. So I guess they still own their entry. I'm not sure why that's necessary to state, but it's in there.
Yeah, I think that the problem is you don't want, basically I think YouTube is struggling with there's a natural tension between gambling and a giveaway, and ownership of rights is, I think, where a lot of that gets very complicated. And we would all like to be able to think, well, I'm not absorbing I'm not taking away anybody's rights. I'm not encouraging anyone to put themselves in debt trying to win this free iPad that I want to give away on my channel. But the truth is that if none of that is laid out in writing, there's just a lot of, potential for miscommunication. And from YouTube's point of view, I have to imagine they want everything as explicitly clear as possible so that nothing reflects back on them. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And number 5 here, and this kind of goes along with that, and something that is new for me when I was reading through these is your contest must be free to enter. They say, don't forget to check your local lottery laws. So this kind of gets into what you're talking about with the gambling thing. And this could get into a little gray area for maybe us as creators. Like if you're going to run it with your patrons, for example, or something, what do we need to consider here? And what are local lottery laws?
Yeah. The truth is that the difference between a giveaway and gambling is, did they have to pay something to get access? If often you'll see the phrase "no purchase necessary," and no purchase necessary ostensibly just means that this is a free to participate program, and that would be different than something where you have to pay an entry fee, or you're buying a scratch off, or you're paying something in the hope of winning something of greater value. And when you're paying something in the potential for the chance to win something of greater value, you're very quickly in gambling law. And with the way the casinos are regulated, etc., there's very little, that's a big regulatory mess that you don't really want to get involved in. Most YouTubers, I don't think, are aspiring to run a lottery, but I know that certain creators have tried to limit it to those members of their audience who pay a monthly fee, or donate to a campaign. And the problem is that what may be donation to the channel in exchange for an opportunity to be, included, to have your number, added to a list for a lottery drawing. That is a lottery. That is gambling, and it has a lot of restrictions to it.
So can you do a contest with just your patrons, or probably not?
You know what? I would have to look deeper into that, but yeah. I think, the thing with, Patreon and things like programs like that, ostensibly people are, paying for that as a way of
supporting the creator,
supporting the creator, but also obtaining other benefits.
Oh, right.
And however, I think there's still very well may be more regulations that come into play in that situation, and
so
you'd be better off.
Hey, become a patron at the $10 level and get access to a giveaway, or a contest once a month or something like that. That sounds like you're probably crossing.
You just have to remember the goal of these regulations is to prevent people from misunderstanding the nature of the exchange. And if they say, oh, if I give this guy $10, I might get $100, and ignoring all of the other Patreon sort of character, that still looks like an opportunity to gamble, an opportunity to make some money in a gaming environment. And that's always sticky.
Cool. So these next two I think are pretty straightforward. They say you may not pay a third party or parties to manipulate metrics on the YouTube service, including the number of views, likes, dislikes, or subscribers, such that those metrics fail to reflect genuine user engagement with the YouTube service. So, don't go to Fiverr and buy a ton of views to kind of make it look like my contest is super popular. Everyone should, jump in, before you can't do anything like that. And then number 7, you cannot associate or affiliate YouTube with your contest without YouTube's prior written consent. This prohibits, among other things, expressly stating or doing anything that suggests that YouTube is involved with or has endorsed your contest in any way. So whenever you do a contest, YouTube's not a part of it. You got to make that clear that YouTube is not endorsing this or doing anything with it. You're just simply talking to your audience through their platform, basically.
Yeah, so actually I think that those two things, there's some interesting subtle distinctions. The first one, I noticed that they actually changed the language of this a couple of years ago. And what's sort of interesting is for you may not pay a third party to manipulate metrics, is that YouTube is very concerned with preserving the accuracy of their view counts, the user experience. And while every YouTuber tunes into the video creators to learn how to get audiences to better engage with their channel, to consume more of the content, what YouTube doesn't want is any call to action to result in a worse user experience for the audience, where they rewatch a video 100 times in the hopes of having a financial incentive to do so. Right. That is everything YouTube does not want happening on their platform. And
that's outside of the YouTube contest policies. That's like a YouTube policy in general. It's part of the terms of service as well.
Exactly. And so it's really important that it be clear that you're not even enticing or encouraging or, basically, that you're not yourself gaming the system to get more viewership and to get the contest, greater coverage and in front of more eyeballs. So you really don't want to, you don't want to step over that trigger. And then the second part about that YouTube isn't endorsing, this is the same issue that we come up with again and again. YouTube is a user-generated content platform that runs, advertising on it. And advertising is the product that YouTube is selling. They are not, they're a passive, entity. They're a passive participant in whatever content is being generated on the platform. And the moment that you start to imply that YouTube is endorsing or is involved in the videos that you're creating, that's where you're going to have real trouble with the platform.
Yeah. Cool. So the official contest rules, YouTube has an entire section about this, and this part is really important. And we're probably going to camp out on this first one, especially here. Well, all of these actually, they're all part of the official rules. So how about I just read what the official rules need to include, and we'll just talk about all 5 points here. So you must have a set of official rules, which they say, A, includes links to the YouTube community guidelines and indicate entries which don't comply will be disqualified. B, state all disclosures required by applicable federal, state, and local laws, rules, and regulations, including U.S. sanctions, which we discussed already. C, are wholly compliant and consistent with YouTube's terms of service. Okay, so your official rules need to have those 3 things. Then also, your contest must be conducted and all prizes awarded as outlined in your official rules. So your official rules need to say how your contest is being conducted and what how the prizes will be awarded. Number 3, you are responsible for your rules and all aspects of your contest administration. And 4, your rules must clearly state that YouTube is not a sponsor of your contest and require users to release YouTube from any and all liability related to your contest. And then finally, you must also include a legally compliant privacy notice on your official rules, which explains how you will use any personal data you collect from the contest, and then you must adhere to that use. So these official rules, this document is really important, Jonathan, as you read this stuff here. What are some things we need to consider about this as a creator?
Yeah, so I mean, look, there's so many layers of regulation that you need to be mindful of, but also YouTube's own corporate, guidelines and rules. And if you're using the YouTube platform as a way of promoting your contest rather than just standing on your back porch and shouting to whoever's in earshot, if you want to use the YouTube platform, YouTube is basically saying you need to cover your federal laws, state laws, local laws, based on where you are. You need to, in addition, YouTube has a series of terms of service that you need to make sure that you're in compliance with. Then it's interesting, but they do make it clear that there's links to the YouTube community guidelines that it wants in the actual rules itself. And I think that the reason for that is that they want to continue to sort of make it clear because the community guidelines are constantly being updated, they want to make it clear that here's the terms by which all contests must be governed. Right. And people can dive in there, but it wants to also make it clear that it wants you to make it clear in your rules that people who don't comply with YouTube's community guidelines don't get to participate in the contests. And that's that's YouTube trying to preserve the community environment that it's maintaining.
I made a mistake with that second one, though, that your contest must be conducted and all prizes awarded as outlined in your official rules. I made a mistake with that many years ago, and I was only expecting maybe like 20 entries, and I got, I don't know, hundreds of entries. And part of what I said is you're going to submit a video, and I'm going to watch every video. Well, it's only 20 videos. I was expecting that was no problem. But when I started getting hundreds of submissions in these videos, I was like, oh no, like I don't have time to sit here and go through hundreds of videos. But since that's what I said I was going to do, I still had to do that. And I think it's important that we stick to whatever we say we're going to do. But my warning to you guys is whatever your rules are for how you're going to determine a winner and deliver a prize, make sure that it's scalable. Will it work with one entry just as well as it would work with 1 million entries,
or you limit the number of entries. You can say to the first 100, people who sign up. Right. And if you have that in the rules, like this is a CYA case. I mean, you really need to cover your own exposure because yeah, something like what happened to you can happen to anybody. I mean, a video can suddenly go viral unexpectedly and draw a ton of attention to a contest that you expected to go out to 20 people. And I think that one of the other challenges that you see people running into is that all of a sudden, they didn't anticipate that the winner might be, in another country, and all of a sudden shipping costs or shipping fees, are exorbitantly high, or that there's which is often why you'll see in terms and conditions, must be in the continental United States, and they'll say, or, it must be 18 years old, or older, or, there's all kinds of, restrictions that you can put into your own official rules, that will help protect your ability to deliver on whatever the promise is that you've made to your your participants.
Yep. And then that last thing there, number 5, is something I also see a lot of creators not doing, is they're doing this to collect personal information from their viewers, which I recommend doing, like having an email list or something that you can contact them outside of YouTube. But if you're doing that through the contest, you legally need to tell them what you're going to do with their personal information and how you're going to use it, and you had to adhere to that. And that's really
this is disclosure. I mean, I think that this is the same thing that comes up with the FTC regulations on it, is that most of compliance is just letting your audience know what the deal is. And it may be frustrating that you need to, write all of this out and disclose and say, this company that provided this to me, they are, they're giving me, 50 drones and I'm giving away 49 of them. So I end up with a drone, that's, the incentive to participate in the program is all there, and so you need to do those disclosures. To that same extent, what you said about privacy is also very true. If you're creating this thing as a way of launching your new email, list, right, that you want all of these people to sign up so that you can, and by the way, there's a whole set of anti-spamming rules regarding mass email that you would need to be in compliance with. But I absolutely know that people will often give something away. I remember Karen Cavett just did a really cool video teaching people how to redo their YouTube brand identities.
Oh, yeah.
And she said that for the first 100 people who signed up for her email list got a free copy of the ebook of recreating your YouTube brand identity, which I thought was a super cool way through a giveaway to get people to sign up to your email list. But that's a perfect example of someone being very upfront about it.
Right. Yes.
Whereas you can instead put it in your, contest rules. Oh, by the way, by participating in this contest, you're agreeing to, be on our email list.
Or spammed every day.
Yeah. Which obviously we don't recommend.
Right.
But yeah, I think that with all of this compliance, there are creative and positive ways to be able to communicate to your audience that this is what we're doing, and it's a fun thing, even though there are these rules and even though there's these conditions. Yeah. I feel like it's the same thing as any sort of Patreon campaign, though. If you let them know, we need to do it this way so that I can keep making more videos. We need to do it this way so I can keep generating more content. Audiences are usually pretty chill about that.
Yeah. Yep. It's all about being upfront. And the cool thing about that is that the more upfront and open and transparent you are, the more you establish and build trust with your audience. So by telling them, hey, I'm going to send you emails a few times a week if you sign up for this, then then if they sign up, then they're more likely, they're expecting your emails. Now they're expecting you'll have a higher open rate, and they'll be more engaged with your emails that way, as opposed to if they weren't expecting it and they're surprised. Now they're like, whoa, now they feel a little offended. And the people who didn't sign up because they didn't want multiple emails from you every week, you've established more trust with them, more respect, and you end up serving your everyone better, yourself, your audience, everyone, just by establishing the trust and being upfront with everything that happens with it.
And they can also always, unsubscribe later on. And if they know what they're doing, they're not going to mark your emails as spam, which is what ends up really killing you. What?
You must have an unsubscribed link, by the way. There's some people who just take my email address and add me to BCC to like these mass emails. There's no way for me to stop it. I keep marking them as spam. It is annoying to no end, but legally you need to have an unsubscribe link, which is
yes. And also there's just a practical reason. If you don't have an unsubscribe button and people start marking you as spam, that gets reported essentially to Google, and eventually your emails may start getting filtered into people's spam. And especially if this is, if the email account is one that you're going to be using for your business, that is right. Really bad. I've had clients who've suddenly found themselves with their primary email address unable to get important messages across because they early in their career they were spamming out of sort of desperation messages and it
So Jonathan's going to share with you guys an example here if you want to see one that's done it well.
We were talking about that earlier. So I was looking for, are we talking about the official rules?
Talk about the official rules and the contest and the example that you have.
So our friend Daryl, who I'm sure your audience knows well, he actually did a video a while back, which I'm sure we can include in the description, which for a drone giveaway. This looks like it was from last year, and when you click through, you can actually see a really great example of terms and conditions. One of the things up at the top is that thing we talked about at the beginning, no purchase necessary to enter or win. A purchase does not improve your chances of winning, void where prohibited by law. So that is perfect, right? That basically, I shouldn't say perfect. No, nothing under the law is perfect. But what he's done there is he sort of said, no purchase necessary, and paying money doesn't increase your chances of winning. Again, that looks a lot like gambling. And then it says void where prohibited by law. And that shifts the burden to some degree, from him to the person who's reading that, because if in their jurisdiction, if where they are, this would be illegal, or even if it isn't, even if no purchase is necessary, then their contest entry is void.
Right. Yeah. So he's got everything in here in his terms of conditions. Got the promotion description, eligibility, the winner selection process, the prizes, defining those.
And you'll notice this language void keeps coming up. It says void where prohibited or restricted by law under eligibility. You'll see that term appear again and again. And basically what it's saying is, it's a way of saying, of just making sure that in the event that something comes up where you discover it would be illegal to honor the contest, those entries are void. And you've communicated that to your audience. So it becomes your audience's responsibility to know if they're in a state or a country or county or what have you, where they aren't able to participate in certain kinds of contests.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. One other thing I think I'll mention real quick, because this was unclear to me, guys, is that there's a difference between sweepstakes and a contest. A contest is when the promotion involves that they need to demonstrate some kind of skill, and it's not just a random chance at the win. So it's a contest between like who can shoot the best video, or a contest of like who's got the best skills in a certain area. A sweepstakes is a promotion where the winner is determined by a chance event and the participants have no control over the outcome. And so that would be like your random drawings or instant wins or, something like that.
Yeah.
So most
and
of
there
us
are different rules that cover each of them.
I'm sorry?
And there are different rules that cover each of them. And when you mix them together, you can really get yourself in trouble.
Right.
Yeah.
So we'll put a link in the show notes in the description here that will go to some links that will give you guys more information about this, and they'll kind of outline some of this. And if you guys are thinking about doing a contest, make sure you do it right so you don't get your channel shut down, so you don't get into any legal issues, so that you don't have anyone who submitted an entry into your contest coming back to you later and being like, that wasn't right, or something. So we just want to keep everything on the up and up, so it's a good experience for you, for your viewers, and everyone who's involved, especially potentially sponsors and things like that. So check out all those rules and stuff. Learn as much as you can before you jump into it. This is, really good, helpful information that Jonathan here has provided and helped us with. Jonathan, where can people find out more about you if they want to contact you or reach out to you?
Easiest is jskatz.com, jskatz.com.
Cool. Yeah. We'll link to that in the show notes in the description as well. And I'd love to have you subscribe to this podcast. We got episodes for you every Tuesday to help you guys grow your YouTube audience so you can spread a message that reaches people and changes their lives. So subscribe, iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and Google Play. And we will see you guys again next week for another Video Creators Podcast. See you then. Bye.